Karbala and Najaf in Iraq, the homes of the shrines to Imam Ali and Imam Hussein alayhim salam. For centuries, these iconic shrines have welcomed pilgrims and worshippers from all corners of the world. But in recent years, the numbers have rocketed to an unprecedented 22 million, and catering for them is a growing problem.
2 years ago, when I was visiting Karbala, I saw the lack of clean water. I'd never done the Arba'in walk, I'd never been on the Arba'in walk, but just to be able to see how many visitors annually make it to the shrine of Imam Hussein and Imam Ali in Najaf, it made me think that in terms of the supply of water to them, there is no safe drinking water that they have access to whilst in these holy places. So the narrative of Karbala is very centrally focused on water, the lack of access to clean drinking water to the family of Prophet Muhammad. Imam Hussein and the male members of his family were brutally butchered on the day of Ashura without having had access to drinking water for 3 days. And here are millions of pilgrims to his land who have the right to clean water.
There is one major problem, and that is, how do you give clean, fresh drinking water to millions of people? The answer to now has been to provide tens of millions of plastic water-filled cups.
After this little plastic capsule is consumed, and it is quite small, you'll get through a number of them each day. The plastic is single use, and therefore it ends in landfills, it's strewn across the streets, and millions, tens of millions of these cups find their ways onto the streets of Karbala and Najaf to be cleared up daily and then taken to landfill dumps. And plastic that was utilized in the first Arba'in walk after the fall of the past regime is still in existence. And this plastic will still be around in Arba'in in 100 years' time, because once made, this plastic will not decompose into the ground. So the problem is just exacerbating year on year.
The Lady Fatima Trust, working with both Atabas in Najaf and Karbala and partner foundations, came up with a plan to both remove plastic waste and increase the amount of clean drinking water available at both shrines.
Sadly, what is available now is not adequate, especially for the pilgrims in Arba'in and Muharram. There's an acute shortage of water. The RO plants that the government and the Ataba have installed are not adequate. And the Lady Fatima Trust initiated this whole process of installing a modern RO plant to supplement what the government is doing, to treat the water from the river, to make it available for drinking, to chill it, and then to distribute it around the harams here in Karbala and in Najaf.
Being able to deliver more clean, sustainable water to Najaf and Karbala was a major draw for joint funders, the Jaffa Foundation.
There could not be a better place than Karbala to do this project, because our Imam was deprived of water in this very place 1400 years ago. So to us, this is an amazing opportunity. We can't thank Allah for this kind of opportunity, and be it here or be it in Karbala. And seeing what we have been able to achieve within such a short span of time, in 4 months, to bring this whole water project to fruition, we can only thank Allah.
So we got involved over here to just one word, which is destiny, that brought us over here. But through Lady Fatima Trust, which is handled by Brother Mukhtar Kareem, who has worked tirelessly, and he had a vision about putting this dream to reality.
The plan to install new additional water purification plants in both Najaf and Karbala meant building what are called RO plants abroad and shipping them to Iraq to be installed in time for Arba'in 2023. First up was Najaf, and here it would include solar paneling to run the machinery, making it even more environmentally sustainable. The water source for the plant being the nearby sea of Najaf. But desalinating and making the water drinkable is no easy task, requiring significant investment and expertise.
The RO water plant for Ataba Alawiya Muqaddasa contains 3 units. The 3 units produce about 100,000 liters per hour. The way how the units work, it starts from raw water, come to the first filter. The first filter contains big sand and middle and small to prevent all the dirt thing coming from the raw water. After we move from the first filter, go to the second filter. The second filter contains carbon. The carbon prevents the smell, bad thing to come in the water. After we move from the second filter, it's come inside. There's 2 cotton filter. The first cotton filter, it's 5 micron, and the second is 1 micron. That filter prevent all the dust, all the anything come to the membrane. When the move from the cotton filter go to the high pressure pump, the high pressure pump we need it for the membrane to get high pressure water to go inside the membrane here. We have 9 vessels, each vessel have 6 membranes. So this unit product 45,000 liters per hour. After the water come in this way, it's come back from the other way. Here we get the RO water. That's for drinking water. This come from here to go to the stainless steel tank here. That's RO water. It's hot now. When you get from the unit, it's get hot. We send it to the chiller in the back of the unit to get it cold. From the chiller, we send it to the cold tank. After this tank, go to the haram, to the tap inside and outside the haram.
Large tankers, each carrying up to 30,000 litres of water, distribute the drinking water to a wider area beyond the shrine.
نعم، لجمعية السيدة فاطمة سلام الله عليها علاقة ومساعي مع العتبة العلوية المقدسة، وقدمت فقرات ملموسة خلال السنين الماضية. قدمت لنا محطة تحلية تم نصبها في صحن السيدة الزهراء، تغذي الصحيات اللي موجودة في صحن السيدة الزهراء، تعمل على الطاقة الشمسية. محطة متقدمة. محطة أخرى مماثلة لها في مشروع ماء العتبة العلوية أيضا، من خلالهم، من خلال مهندسيهم، من خلال الفنيين، إحصاء الحاجة للماء في السنين القادمة لارتفاع درجة الحرارة. فتم إحصاء عدد منافذ الماء الشرب، وهم على اتصال وتواصل معنا لتقديم الأفضل.
Providing clean drinking water is not just a civic duty, it's part of a wider duty of care to provide for the pilgrims that is taken seriously not just by the Atabas, but also by everyone, young and old. The Mokib system provides food, water, shelter, and other things like medical facilities to pilgrims, many of them walking the 70 kilometers between Najaf and Karbala.
So they expect that by 2030 there will be 50 million pilgrims coming during the 7-10 days duration of Arba'in. Last year it was over 20 million. They say this year it could be close to 26 million. How they come, where they come from, where they sleep, what they eat, what they do, God alone knows. This is a miracle in itself. Nobody gets trampled, nobody is starved, nobody has shortage of food or water. It's amazing. It's the largest gathering of humanity anywhere in the world. Hajj gets 2.5 million people. The Kumbh Mela in India, they say it's 10 million people. Here is well in excess of 20 million people in a city that has a capacity of 500,000-600,000. it's an absolute miracle.
فصل صيف والجو حار يعني نسبة الحرارة كلش مرتفعة، فأكثر ما يحتاج الزائر يحتاج إلى مي، يعني شفنا رغبة الزائر بالأجواء الحارة، وتعرف بلدنا يعني بلد بارتفاع درجات الحرارة، رغبة الماء تكون أكثر. هسه احنا يعني مش يعني استقل الخدمة مالتنا تقريبا حولناه للماء.
The exhausted and parched pilgrims arrive in record numbers in Karbala, many on foot in temperatures of 47 degrees Celsius. Just as the numbers reach critical mass, the additional water plant is up and running as Arba'in starts.
Karbala, old city, have suffered from missing the supplying of water, drinking water, and the water for daily use. So we're starting on a project to support the old city with water, to supply all the people and millions of people that coming in Ziyarat Arba'in and Ziyarat Ashura. We are working on to do all this work before Ziyarat Arba'in this year, 2023, on about 24 hours per day, 7 days in a week, for about almost 3 months. And alhamdulillah, all the work is done.
The new plant will desalinate water from the Euphrates and supplement an existing water purification and ice-making plant that is struggling to cater for the vast increases in pilgrim numbers to Karbala. As the pilgrims continue with their ziyaras, their every need is met, but providing the water to the shrines is only part of the story. There is also an environmental aspect to this work, the eradication of single-use plastic containers.
Each of our major ziyaras, we're attracting about 25 million at least. Each one of those, how many of those small cups of water do they drink? When I go to ziyara, I'll drink at least 3 to 4. Now think of that if I'm staying here and I'm doing ziyara every single day and I'm walking, it's, you know, how hot it is here. So we're consuming a ton of plastic. If we eliminate all of that or a fraction of that, it's going to be huge on the environment.
But it's not just an environmental issue. The reliance on plastic water cups and bottles is also a major health issue.
The problem is that when they are able to access water, it is in little plastic cups that may have lain in the sun all day and had chemicals released into them. So what was once good, clean drinking water has now, through the process, been contaminated with chemicals. The rubbish that is left after it is highly, highly polluting.
This health fear is very real, and at Karbala's first cancer specialist hospital, something that concerns them.
When I compare my experience to my experience in America, I am seeing an increase in certain types of cancers that I would not see that frequently back in America. Now, those from a scientific perspective, we're going to call them anecdotal data, so just kind of a provocative theory. So this cancer is only 2 years old, so we're still in the process of putting some methodology in how to collect the data. Are we drinking the right water supplies, okay? And even if we're talking about water, where is it coming from? Is it bottled? Is it not? If it's bottled, is it stored outside or inside? And if it's stored inside, is it the right temperature or not?
The worry is real, and the reason why delivering fresh water to the 2 holy shrines is the beginning of the journey, not the end.
This is a long process, and this is just the beginning. The idea is not just to keep the environment friendly, but to make sure that we get this clean water that takes care of the health situation. And this is not just during the Arba'in that we are looking for. This is going to be a 365 days project, because the residents that live over here are entitled to, clean water.
And that next stage is to try and expand the offer of clean water on the route between Najaf and Karbala.
طريق النجف كربلاء، وخصوصا في السنين القادمة حيث الحرارة ترتفع، لابد من إعداد خطة متكاملة لتوفير الماء للزائرين الكرام على طريق كربلاء. لدى مؤسسة السيدة فاطمة سلام الله عليها رؤية، ورؤيتها رؤية جيدة جدا من خلال توفير الماء في محطات متعددة على طريق كربلاء، ومن خلال عدم الاستفادة من الأقداح، استعمال مرة واحدة لما لها من أثر بيئي سيء. لهم رؤية جيدة، العتبة على استعداد لتقديم العون في هذا المجال.
We would like to put plants all across the runway between Najaf and Karbala, and whereby we have excess of water throughout the year and get rid of the plastics.
There are villages along this route. They can be supplied with water all year round, not just for drinking, but also irrigating their farmland and eliminating any plastic waste during its taking.
And beyond extending between the two shrines, there is a need possibly for some personal responsibility to help eradicate over 600 tons of single-use plastic a day.
It is imperative that every person visiting Karbala, not just over Ashura and Arbaeen, but in the rest of the year, carries their own bottle that they can use. Bottles that perhaps would hold the water cooler for longer, but anything that is not single-use plastic, so that they have refilling stations and they're refilling from these stations. That means that not only has it served you during the most spiritual pilgrimage that you will undertake, but also you have contributed to keeping the landscape around Karbala and Najaf and the route in between the two clean. So it's a measure of seeing what the need is, when the need is, and how we're best able to supply it in the possible. And none of this can be achievable without our patrons at the Lady Fatima Trust.